Tonight, the nation continues to see a drop in COVID cases, hospitalizations, and deaths. The announcement coming as the American Academy of Pediatrics says it's also seeing a decline in infections among children. Still, the nation's top health officials say transmission levels remain high around the country.
The best way to assure that decline in cases, hospitalizations, and death to continue is to continue to get a lot more people vaccinated.
The push to vaccinate more Americans coming as there is increased push on vaccine mandates. Texas Governor Greg Abbott taking aim at the Biden administration, blocking anyone in his state from enforcing the president's vaccine requirement.
In the end, this will be resolved in the courts and the federal government will likely win. But in the interim, at least in the short term, you're likely to see a lot of companies try to go into a holding pattern.
The governor's order covers anyone who objects to being vaccinated, whether it be for a religious or medical reason, or they simply just don't want to get the shot. Now, businesses could be fined up to $1,000 for, quote, any failure to comply. And now turning to New York, where the state will not be allowed to prevent people from applying for religious exemptions from receiving a vaccine. A judge granting an injunction after state health workers sued, claiming their rights would be violated without the exemption. The decision opens the door for hundreds of New Yorkers to apply for exemptions who had been or were about to be fired for not getting their shots. In a separate ruling, a lawsuit to block the state's vaccine mandate for schools was denied. As the battle over vaccine mandates rages on, we may be closer to having more access to booster shots. The FDA is meeting later this week to consider authorization for both Moderna and Johnson & Johnson boosters. Moderna's would be a half dose. Johnson & Johnson is asking regulators to approve a second shot of its vaccine, either 2 or 6 months after a person receives the original one-dose shot.
I think the FDA will look at this. Can you mix and match? Can you start with J&J and finish with either Moderna or Pfizer? The mix and match issues are also on the table.
The agency typically issues decisions within a few days, so we could know if they're approved as early as next week.